Okay, we got our first lesson on H2, request smuggling, HTTP2. I'm just going to refer to HTTP2 as H2 for here on out. So H2.CL, that's content length request smuggling. I just got this little note here to keep me reminded. So when we're going to look at when you conduct these in Burp Suite, we're going to have to allow HTTP2 ALPN, which is Application Layer Protocol Negotiation, and that's in the repeater. Okay, so we'll get to that. There we go. And before we get on this exercise, it's good to know the background. I've not seen many, if any, tutorials for H2 request smuggling, so I'm just going to put this up here. Here's where it comes from, James Kettle with PortSwigger. Anything he's put out, I suggest looking at. So here's the beginning. We're going to be doing this lesson, H2CL, this vulnerability right here, H2CL, is what it's based on what he did to Netflix. He was doing a bug bounty on Netflix. So, and this definitely recommend reading this. I'll put links in the video description for this is his white paper. It's also on their website, PortSwigger's website. So here we go. H2 desync on Netflix. So they're based on the data frame length of content length header. It's not required. Let's just look at here. So this is what it looks like. H2, the representation. So we're familiar with, you have your host right here. So host is Netflix there. And H2 is referred to as authority. And we're going to do something similar to this. So he was able to downgrade it to H1. And based on the incorrect content length, the backend didn't process the request data early enough. And it was treated as the start of another request. And that enabled him to create an arbitrary prefix to the next request. And see here it says, I crafted the orange prefix to trigger a response redirecting the victim's request to his server. And that's what this exercise has. It has, if you've done any of these labs with PortSwigger, they have exploit servers. So we're going to use that here to essentially simulate what he did. So here's get request, and then here's the through to found. We're going to use this exact thing. And so he redirected the JavaScript includes, so a malicious file. And he was able to execute JavaScript, compromise all their accounts, steal their passwords, and again, you're going to see that in this exercise. And I'm not going to do H2 transfer encoding today. All right, and you can see the parallels here. So, and then this is the actual page on PortSwigger, their web security labs. So it goes in, talks about what it is. Not going to go too much into it right now. H2CL vulnerabilities. Again, here's your front end. You start out with a post. You're smuggling in this get. This is going to simulate, going to a backend admin. And okay, so I'll just keep this on standby. We will refer to it if needed later on. And at this point, let's go ahead and get started. This lab right here, I'm going to enlarge the text a bit. So it's vulnerable to request smuggling. The front end downgrades H2 requests, even if they have ambiguous lengths. To solve the lab, perform a request smuggling attack that causes the victim's browser to load malicious JavaScript file from the exploit server. Call the alert document.cookie. And the victim user accesses this page every 10 seconds. Just a heads up on this. This lab can be quite fickle from time to time, as it says here. What we're relying on is a simulated victim on the other end making requests to our exploit server. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. If not, I'll cut the film and jump to a successful exploit of this. But we're going to do a walkthrough right now. Okay, and then here's the ALPN override to go to H2. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to open this in a new tab. Okay, we've got the lab opened up. So first thing I like to do a little house cleaning, get this cleaned up. We're going to go to our target. Okay, there's nothing extra there. I just clear all this stuff off. Clear the history. Come on. Clear log. Yes. And logger plus plus is good. Okay. Okay, so first thing, let's go to target. I'm going to add that to scope. Go back to dashboard. Also in dashboard, it might look like this. Keep it just on high. Keep that clear, and that way we can easily see this vulnerability as it comes through. Okay, so let's just look at this and think, okay, well, what's going on? We have, as Kettle said, let's reference this, and let's reference. There we go. So this is the example right here. Okay, going through. All right. So we're looking at something like this. They don't have, can't specify the content length. Spec dictated to the content headers. Blah blah blah. All right. Well, let's just put this. Look at our proxy history. Let's clear that up. Okay, now we're going to start fresh. Going to hit the home. And here's what I like to do. This is the same methodology I use on H1, doing H1 request smuggling. Just go through one of them. All right, so see here it says H2. I'm going to press Control R, send a repeater. All right, send it through a repeater. Okay, that's nice. Now here's where the ALPN comes in. Go to repeater. Go to allow H2.CL. Actually, before you do that, go here on the side, inspector, attributes, request attributes. Click H2. Then go to repeater. Click H2 ALPN override. So now you see that says H2. We're going to send it through. I send it through real quick by pressing Control Spacebar. Okay, so you'll hear that as Control Spacebar. And all right, that looks nice. So here's a couple things I do. This is something I do right here. I did this as a methodology I use when doing H1. So you're going to need an extension loader loaded, the H2P Request Smuggler. Now this smuggle probe, that's just for H1. We're going to mess with the, we're doing H2. So we're going to smuggle probe. I'm just going to leave this stock as is. I don't know why this Windows is being weird. So I'm going to launch the smuggle probe. It was okay. And logger++ should be okay extender, so it's showing that. That's why I put this URL in target or whatever. What do you call it? Target? Scope. Yeah, scope. And I put it there so that we only see in scope items. And so this is what it's doing. This tool in the background, okay, so it hasn't changed that from a get. It's putting this down there. Okay, here's a post, and it's putting this transfer encoding thing up here. Now this is one way of doing it. And at some point, I think one of these might be successful, and you'll see it pop up here on the dashboard right there. Now that's one way of doing it. Okay, so see, there it is. And that's strange. It says TE transfer encoding, despite we're doing a CL, but in any event, we can look at this here. It's always for the dashboard. And there's not much information there. Here's the request. So see, okay, and there's this right down here. This, oh no. Okay, this used to confuse me, and then I found on Kettle. I'm pulling it up. I just now recall it. Page down. You see this little squiggly thing, HTTP, that up caret and the tilde. I always wondered what that was. And then I came across it reading James's white paper here. No. Okay, there we go. Got it. So you see right here, let's see, zoom in, adjust that, maybe zoom out a bit. Okay. So it rewrites, so tooling. So here we're using this tool he created, this research, blah, 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 possible. So what it does, the turbo intruder, so invokes the engine. This is actually about changing the code in the turbo intruder. We're not doing that right now. It takes H1 formatted request as the input, rewrites it as H2. During the rewrite, it performs few character mappings on the headers to ensure all the techniques used in the presentation are possible. So you see that up caret is carriage, I think that's carriage return, and then the tilde is new line, start a new line, and that, you know, little back tick is colon. So taking that into account, I just translate that as /r/n. If you remember H1, does /r/s. We're going to send that to repeater. Okay, H2, send it through, see what happens. Oh, we get a bunch of nothing. That's messing it up. So here's So that's all /r/n. This makes me think, so what this would look like, and /r/n, and then you have to start a new line, right? Transfer coding chunked, so we got /r/n, start a new line. So it's something like that, and so we've not really gone into that in depth too much. So just going through that for now. In any event, let's continue on with the exercise here. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to send it to repeater. I showed you that method earlier for enumerating. Okay, so H2.PN, get off there, override, attributes, go to H2. Okay, great. What I'm going to do is I am going to, you can go here, change request method. Okay, great. Now this is starting to look like something. You don't need all these headers. You can do it with all these headers, but it's just, I get rid of these. And I want to keep the user, we can get rid of user agent. Actually, no, I'm just going to leave it in for now. This chaha, whatever, cookie, you don't even need that. Get rid of that thing. Actually, tell you what, I will keep the cookie. I like cookies. Okay, good, it's working. So we'll just leave that. Content type application, content length is 0. Something else to check out, repeater, update content links. Right now it's checked. I don't know, we might have to uncheck that later on. Anyways, so we're going to test this thing. Obviously the little tool said you could smuggle something, but let's try something ourselves. Type something here. Well, let's just try smuggling some random text. Random text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Send that through. 200, 200, 200. Oh, there you go. See content length? Got to set that to 0 and not update it. There we go. Okay, now see this 404. What that 404 means is the backend is appending every subsequent request to the smuggled prefix. Okay, so what we can go and do from here is let's send a GET request for resources, because let's refer to what James did with his exploit of Netflix. Okay, so here's a GET request that he put in there. All right, he was able to get a 302, and so this is the request, and here's the response. So we're looking for something like this. You want, and okay, let's get that over there and zoom out. I'll put that there for now. So let's see, what do we have here? Okay, source, resources. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to, this is the, if you have not learned about this, all right, you want to search for something and then just auto scroll, click that, and I watch this. Every time we go. Oh, there's the 404 again. Okay, so let's do a GET request for resources. Let's see what happens. / resources, and we're trying to downgrade to HTTP 1, right? And let's just say, call our host my domain main, that's inside joke, com, and we'll say the content length. We're going to say that is, I'm going to call it 5. Okay, and come down here, I'm just going to say x to x. I'm kind of thinking that maybe the content link should be, did I put this in Vim mode? Is there a Vim mode in here? Okay. So boo boo boo. I mean, shouldn't that be 3 though? Because that's x equals x. That's 3. Shouldn't that be a content length of 3? I think it should be 3. Let's try 3. Let's send it. Waiting. Done. Send it again. Okay, look. So that looks like what Kettle did with to Netflix. So here we go. He made this GET request. So it crafted the orange prefix to trigger response, redirecting the victim's request to a server. So that was his server, right? And we just made this up. So by that logic, we should be able to use an exploit server, put a malicious payload on the exploit server, and then cause a victim to be redirected to do the same thing. Let's see if that is true, which means here we're going to put the, right here is going to be the exploit server URL. I am a very slow typer. .xyz, because that's fancy. Okay. Is that it? That's not even spelled right. Who cares? Okay, exploit server. I like to open things in new tabs. And what was the thing we had to do? What was the instructions? Let's refer to the instructions here. Okay. No. That's sort of the instructions. Here we go. So labs vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. To find that we have to, this is the payload. We have to cause an alert. Document.cookie. Go back to that. All right, there. Okay, oh no, we were on the exploit server. So that means that on the body of exploit, we're going to alert.cookie, and because, see right here, this domain resources, what's going to end up being there is that's going to be our exploit server URL, and our payload's going to be contained in the file resources. So go over here, you see where it says exploit, rename that to resource, oh no, resources. Oh, click on that. There we go. This looks like it's working out. And it'll store it. If you're doing H2 by now, you're probably well versed and experienced in these labs. Okay, now you're gonna, because I got just such a crazy screen here, the resolution. Exploit, you don't get the HTTPS / none of that. You go here, just copy the URL all the way down to .net. Okay, and stop there, don't get the / resources. And we're going to put that here for the host in our request. All right, so our goal is for this to pop up here, and then some unknowing user is going to make a request for this page, and then they're going to get served this. So let's submit that. Okay, kind of reminds me of web cache poisoning. So in the instructions for this, it's like, I don't know, every 10 seconds or something, and we have to wait for someone else to come, and then it'll say lab solved. Okay, interesting. Random stream resources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through a few more times, because this can be fickle. Sometimes it works, sometimes doesn't. I'll come back. If I've had to make any changes, I'll show you what they were and explain why. See you in a bit. Oh, and if you want to send a request through really fast, but you don't want to put it in Turbo Intruder, just hold down Control and spacebar. Spacebar. Still haven't been able to emulate someone hitting this website, and so I even, reloaded that. So what I'm just going to put in, I got some old footage here from when I did this lab before, and I'll show you in a bit. So I'm going to send this through a few more times. Hopefully it'll pop. I'm going to pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, it looks like it finally worked. Congratulations, you solved the lab. The only things I changed were I got rid of the cookie and the, I don't know, the X forward, whatever, the other header, and just sent it through a few more times. Ended up changing that to 1. I don't see why that would have made a difference, but probably wouldn't. Let's change it back to X. I I mean, it's still going to. So you essentially have to wait on their background process in the lab for the simulated victim to hit. So these labs, like I've said in the past, they can be very fickle. So just have some patience. And so we see that that worked. And so what we've done is we've caused a redirect for the victim to request our payload right there. In later labs coming up, we are actually going to be using the inspector to, request headers to submit extra headers. And we'll do what's called kettling. So I'll see you in the next video.